He wasn't just drafted, he was designed. Before you ever heard his name, he was already being molded, built in overseas systems, groomed by pro coaches, packaged for the spotlight. And this year's NBA draft, it didn't just show us where the league is going, it showed us how far we've already gone. Cooper Flag was the headline, the prodigy from Duke, but behind him was something bigger, an entire class of foreign prospects, quiet, disciplined, global, and already pro-ready. Yang Hansen, Noah Esenge, Egor Demin, KJ, Joan Beringer, names most fans can't pronounce, but the league's been watching them for years. This wasn't just a draft, this was a message. The NBA isn't waiting for stars to rise anymore, it's building them. Something felt off this year. Not wrong, just different, because the 2025 NBA draft didn't look like anything we've seen before. The spotlight was global, and the league made it clear. They're not waiting on college stars anymore. More than a third of the first round picks were born outside the US, and most of them never played a minute of college basketball. Forget March Madness, forget mixtapes. These players came from systems, not hype. You had Egor Demin, a 6'9" guard from Real Madrid, Yang Hansen, and a 7-foot technician out of China, Noah Esenge, French-born, German-trained, and built like an NFL linebacker, KJ, Lithuania's quiet assassin, Joan Beringer, Nolan Traore, Melvin Aginsa, even VJ Edgecombe, a top 3 pick, came from the Bahamas before ever touching U.S. hardwood. These weren't just prospects, they were products, and they were ready. It's not just a wave, it's an invasion. The NBA is being flooded with foreign talent, and not just a few names. This is a full-scale takeover. Back in 2001, only 4 international players went in the first round. In 2025, 11, and here's the kicker. Most of them weren't raised in AAU gyms or college dorms. They were developed inside pro systems overseas, taught spacing by EuroLeague coaches, conditioned with grown men, trained to fit into a structure, not stand out on a mixtape. It's not about ego, it's about execution. You can see it in guys like Egor Demin and KJ. Both spent years in elite European programs before even touching US hardwood. By the time they entered the draft, they were already pros in everything but name. Meanwhile, in the US, it's chaos. Reclass culture, transfers, NIL distractions, one and done dreams that often fall short. It's development versus exposure, systems versus spotlight, and right now, the system is winning. The difference isn't just physical, it's mental. When foreign prospects arrive in the NBA, they don't play like rookies. They play like they've already been there, because in Europe, you're taught to see the game differently, slower, smarter, less ego. You don't grow up chasing 30-point nights. You learn how to rotate on defense, when to make the extra pass, how to play within a system, not just around one. By the time someone like Noah Esenge or Egor Demin reaches the NBA, they're not adjusting to structure, they expect it. There's a calm to the way they play, a discipline, like they've already studied the test. Meanwhile, most US prospects arrive with talent, flash, and speed, but often without the habits that translate. And at the highest level, that's the difference between playing and sticking. The NBA isn't just scouting the world anymore, it's building it. In the past, international stars were outliers: Dirk, Manu, Yao, rare finds with raw talent and little structure behind them, but now there's a global machine feeding the league. NBA academies in Australia, Africa, Latin America, each one grooming kids from age 13, training them on NBA systems, NBA spacing, NBA rules, and they're not doing it alone. Clubs like Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and ASVEL have evolved into NBA factories. They're not just winning in Europe, they're tailoring players for the NBA style before the draft even happens. That's why Igor Demin walked into the draft ready to run a pick and roll like a vet, why Noah Esenge already knows how to rotate in space, why Yang Hansen understands when to switch, when to drop, and when to crash the glass. This isn't just global talent anymore, it's a global pipeline, and it's been engineered to bypass the chaos of American basketball altogether. While the US model is getting messier by the year, the rest of the world is tightening up, and the NBA is welcoming it with open arms. There used to be a path. You played your way through high school, you earned your spot in college, and if you were good enough, the league would find you. But today, that path barely exists. Every year, the structure gets messier: transfers, new leagues, early reclassifications, everyone chasing the shortcut. And the cost? It's development. Players switch systems so often they never fully grow. They're judged off mixtapes, not habits, highlights, not decision making. And the worst part? Scouts can't track anyone. Coaches can't trust what they're seeing. Even NBA teams are struggling to evaluate who's actually ready. The US still has talent, tons of it, but talent without structure, that's chaos. And chaos doesn't develop players, it buries them. This isn't just about development anymore, it's about trust. Because year after year, international players are proving they belong. Luka didn't need a learning curve. Wemby didn't either. Jokic, Giannis, all-star caliber by year two. And that track record, it changed everything. NBA teams started asking different questions. Why gamble on raw talent when you can get a player who's already proven he can adjust, who's already handled pressure, who doesn't need 3 years to figure it out? They're not scouting highlights anymore. They're scouting resumes. It's not just about who might become great. It's about who's already built for the job. And that mindset shift, it's reshaping the entire draft process because now every front office has the same thought. The next Wemby isn't coming from college and he's coming from overseas. The takeover isn't coming. It's already here. Look around. The last MVP, not American. Look at who's dominating the playoffs. Look at who's shaping teams. Look at who kids are copying. They're not college stars. They're not G League grads. They're foreign born phenoms, and they're changing everything. Front offices aren't just noticing, they're building around it. This year's draft only confirmed it. More international picks than ever, more players with pro experience, more with passports than NCAA resumes. It's not a fluke. It's not a trend. The league is shifting, like culturally, stylistically, strategically, and at the center of it all, players who didn't come up through the American system but now control the American game. The scary part, this is just the beginning because while the US figures out how to fix its system, the rest of the world is speeding up. International academies are expanding, more kids are training full time, more clubs are backed by pros, brands, and even NBA money. They're not just creating players, they're building pipelines. The NBA knows it, they're scouting it, they're investing in it, and soon it won't just be a few international stars in each draft, it'll be a takeover. If you think this year was wild, wait till you see 2026 or 2027. This isn't about one draft class, it's about momentum. And the longer the US hesitates, the wider that gap is going to get. For decades, the American dream was simple. If you had the talent, if you put in the work, the league would find you. But what if that's no longer true? What if the NBA isn't looking in the same places anymore because the signs are everywhere? Draft boards filled with foreign names, scouts flying overseas before they hit high school gyms, investment moving out, not in. The American hooper still dreams, still trains, still believes, but the system, it's shifting quietly, permanently. And if you're a kid growing up in Chicago or LA or Houston, you have to wonder, is the league still built for me? Because if the NBA can manufacture stars overseas, cleaner, calmer, more controllable stars, then maybe the American dream isn't dying. Maybe it's already dead. What if the league we grew up with is already gone? What if we're not just watching new stars rise, but watching a new era take over? Not louder, not flashier, just quieter, more calculated, more controlled. For decades, the NBA was chaos, big personalities, wild stories, unpredictable greatness. But now it's evolving into something global, something cleaner, something engineered. This isn't just a shift in who gets drafted, it's a shift in what the league wants. And maybe the scariest part, they've figured out how to build it themselves. From global academies to foreign media machines, the NBA is planting seeds, not just for players, but for a future that doesn't look like the past. So if it feels like the league's changing, it is. And if you're only just noticing, you're already behind.